replay viewers and those coming in live. Oh, I've got the chartreuse wall behind me again. The lighting just makes that so weird. Such an inaccurate color. Welcome. I'm glad you're here today. Hey, Helen, I'm answering your question. Kind of broadening it a little bit, but welcome. Hi, Wendy, Molly. Calling out the people I recognize. Jessica, Mandy, welcome. Jennifer. Hi, Sarah. Tracy. Welcome. Burlap Decor. Do I have your name written down? I don't. Could you remind me of your name? Because I know you've been in here more than once. So if you are new, I am Melissa from MakerySpace.com, where I blog about selling on Etsy and try to educate and equip Etsy sellers in the more left-brained aspects of running their business. Sherry, thanks. Thank you for the happy birthday wish. Sherry, you're the one who just sent me the email, aren't you? So I have to answer that. So yesterday, hi Amy. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm so glad. And I have that blog post up too, and I'll talk about that at the end of the scope. Welcome, new from Portugal. That's fun. So today I want to answer another reader/viewer question. It's from Helen, and she is wondering, how do you say no to bloggers or even celebrities or others who are asking for your product for free, of course, because they want to either review it or do a giveaway, and you don't feel like they're a good fit? How do you say no without coming across rudely? And I think it would be also good to talk about when to say no, because sometimes you might not want to say no. Sometimes it could be worthwhile, but it's not always easy to gauge, and sometimes you still don't even know until you actually do it, whether or not it's going to be worthwhile. Hi, Danielle. So I'm just going to share my experience and what I feel like are some good practices for that, and then you can feel free to chime in as well if you've had some experiences. So when I first started selling, it was pretty rare to get anybody to ask for my stuff for free. I think it was, I want to say at least the first 2 or 3 years, this did not seem to be a prevalent thing. But it seems like within the last couple of years, this has just become more and more prevalent, where even brand new bloggers are contacting makers and saying, hey, I have a blog where I review products. If you send me such and such, I'll review it. And tell my readers about it. Well, I've gotten a lot of those requests, and then you go look at their blog and there's like no comments. It doesn't seem like they have much of a following, or it's just kind of all over the place, and the kind of stuff they review that just makes you think they literally only started this blog to get products that they want so that they can get them for free and then talk about them. There's not even necessarily a theme like all beauty products or all organizing products or whatever. There are some out there, but a lot of the ones that I've seen request things are really scattered. And sometimes I'll get requests where the grammar is just horrible, or even like the media kit that they point you to or whatever is just lots of misspellings and wrong links and that kind of thing. So I think that's one way you can easily eliminate who you want to work with, is just look at the level of professionalism. And also, do they even have engagement to where if you send them something for free, people are even going to possibly check it out and buy it? Wendy, you can consider yourself blessed. And actually, if you get asked on Etsy, that's considered spam. People are not supposed to be contacting you in that way. So sometimes, honestly, I don't always even respond to those. And lots of charity. Yeah, that's the other thing too, Sherry, is you get lots of, my friend's son has this condition and we're doing a fundraising auction. Can you donate something? That is also considered spam. They're not supposed to contact you on Etsy for that either. But yes, you'll get a lot of those as well. And I think those like donation ones, if you want to respond, are a lot easier to answer, because I think a lot of people will just say, I do like to donate from my proceeds or donate items, but I keep it to my local community or people I know. I think that's a totally valid way to respond. And I can't imagine anyone arguing back with you about that. But sometimes you will go, okay, well, this might be a valid request. This might actually produce some traffic and some sales. Yeah, and you can do exchanges with Etsy sellers. I have done a couple of those. I've done just a fraction of the requests I've gotten, and it has to be something that I would actually want and might not purchase for myself, but something that'd be like, I've always wanted one of those, or I could totally use that, or I've done it like for a gift, a Christmas gift for one of my kids once. But you have to make sure that when you do that, that you set it up as a transaction on Etsy, because you're actually supposed to pay, this is in the Etsy seller handbook, you're supposed to pay the payment process, or not the payment processing fee, the transaction fee on that. And you just set it up for other form of payment, and then the payment part just never gets fulfilled. So each seller is supposed to do it that way. So you're paying the transaction fee since you found each other through Etsy, and you're supposed to keep it on Etsy, and it protects you both. Exactly. So what do you do if you get a request that you think might be, well, let me not go there first. Let me not go there yet. If you think that it's not going to be a good fit for you for whatever reason, how do you respond to that person if you're wanting to respond? Like, let's say they contacted you via email and you feel like you really need to get back to that person. I think that one thing that you can do to set yourself up for handling this a little bit better is develop a policy ahead of time. Like, how many giveaways are you willing to do in a year or in a month? How many reviews are you willing to contribute to, if any? What kind of structure are you willing to collaborate with another blogger or individual on, so that you can just come out and say, thanks so much for asking, but I actually don't contribute products for reviews. So if they're asking for a product review, if you just don't do that and you only do giveaways, a certain amount, then you can just go ahead and say that. Or you could also, I would caution you to say, don't say like, I only do a certain amount and I'm full for this month, because then they might say, well, what about next month? So you might just graciously say something like, don't say, I get so many requests that blah, 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 because that could, that might sound a little boastful. But if you phrase it in such a way is, due to the number of requests I receive, I am only able to collaborate with a certain number of people, and the amount of requests that I don't collaborate with far exceeds the ones that I do. And so, you could say it's kind of structured as far as the process that you go through to make that decision. So it's not sounding like, no, I don't want to work with you, but just, make it like, this is my process. I'm not sure that this would be the best fit. There's kind ways you can say it. I wish I could think of an exact example. Haven't had to do this in a little while, actually. But if you can phrase it in such a way that doesn't, put the other person on the defensive, or give them an open door to try to do it at a later date, if you really feel like they're not a great fit for you. But I think that you can present it in a way that they can accept it, even if they're not glad that you're turning them down. But make it very clear that the door is closed, and that's not something that you would entertain for the future. It's a little bit easier with seasonal requests. Like if someone's wanting to do a Christmas giveaway, and you don't have any margin for doing that, you could just say, my Christmas giveaway schedule or my Christmas product contribution schedule is all filled up. Thanks so much for asking. Yeah, and Sarah, that would be a huge amount to give away, although sometimes it can be worth it. So let's talk about when it actually is worth it. You can't always go by the size of the blog. I do want to say that as far as when it is worth it, but I think it's the main thing that I look at is relationship. So my most successful giveaways that have been hosted on other blogs have been with bloggers that I already have some degree of relationship with. Even if it's just I've kind of been following them on social media or following their blog for a while, and I comment and I engage with them in some way. Or it's been customers who actually purchase my products for themselves, love them, and say, hey, what would you think about maybe doing, I love your product so much, maybe doing a giveaway on my blog. That, I think, is also a real trust factor with their readers, because they know, okay, she didn't just get this for free and is talking about how much she likes it because she feels obligated to. She actually bought this, really, really liked it, and now she's giving one away. So those are the kind of giveaways I love to do, when someone has already made the sacrifice to spend the money on my products and then loves it so much that she initiates a collaboration. Once again, I don't do all of them, but I have done several that way. And some of them are like, I might only get a sale or two, but I try to choose products that aren't my ones that are the most time consuming and the most expensive to make, so that whoever wins, and I might give away a couple of them because they are a lot faster to do, and then whoever wins them is getting something that they really want. But if I don't get a bunch of sales from it, I'm not out a whole bunch. And another thing to remember is, if someone does a blog post about your shop, you are getting backlinks to your shop, which is really, really, really huge for Google when you have quality backlinks. So if you have a blogger who has a good established blog, and those backlinks are created, even if you don't get a bunch of sales, that part alone is good, because those blog posts will be out there for a long time. So let me give you an example of the very first time I was ever contacted to do a giveaway. It was actually a huge turning point for my shop. If you're familiar with the blog A Bowl Full of Lemons, I had been following Tony's blog for months, and I had been commenting on it and stuff. And several months after I had started, she contacted me saying, I wonder if you'd be interested in doing a giveaway on my blog. You would make me a wallet and then give away a wallet to my readers. And at this time, I was just doing mostly doing the premium wallets, the very first style I ever did, that took a lot longer to make. And so I had to really think about that, because I'm like, that's a lot of time invested and materials. And I was very new to this. My shop had only been open for 2 months, I think, when she asked me. But I went ahead and decided to do it. And she had the giveaway in January of 2012. I still get traffic from that blog post, and it's been more than 4 years. So that can really be beneficial if you partner with the right bloggers. And now it did bring a lot of sales as well, the giveaway did. But even if it hadn't, I could still get potential traffic from that blog post, because if someone Googles cash envelope system wallet, it's going to come up within the first few pages of search, and someone's going to click through and maybe land in my shop. So definitely entertain those things, even if it sounds like a sacrifice to you. Another good example of a sacrifice that's worth it is Money Saving Mom, when I've done giveaways on her site. Now, she requires $250 worth of product to be given away to her readers. She doesn't ask for anything for herself. I did send her, she does like samples if she's never seen your product in real life. And so I sent her some things, but she just wants to see quality and, just gauge that before she goes and promotes it to her readers, which totally makes sense. But she doesn't go picking and choosing, going, I want this and I want this and I want this. It's usually whatever you're going to give away. And that's only the first time you do a giveaway. Once she sees the quality of your work, if you do future giveaways, then you don't have to send anything more to her. So all of that benefit goes to her readers. Now, for some small shops, that would be a huge sacrifice to give $250 worth of product. But the return that I received for doing that, absolutely worth it. So in some cases, you might kind of gulp at what you have to give in order to do a giveaway, but the return on investment could be really, really huge. So that's something else to think about. So that's what I would say is try to work, if you're wanting to do some giveaways, think about bloggers who have a readership that fits your target market and try to work with them. And sometimes you contacting them can produce the best giveaways, because you are seeing that their readers fit with your market instead of just someone asking you for free stuff that they want to review. I have rarely seen product reviews cause a lot of sales, although it's possible. So it's something that you might consider. Usually it's giveaways. And look at the blogger's style of writing too. See how they write about other giveaways, and is like, do they just cover the bare minimum and it's kind of stale kind of a post, or are they giving lots of pictures and lots of information and lots of links to that person's store and to that person's website? See how they write their posts, because the way in which they write their posts can greatly influence the kind of traffic that you're going to get and the kind of traffic you might get in the future. So I always kind of poke around the person's website before I give an answer to really get a feel for how that person does their review or their giveaway. Okay. Helen, does that help you make a decision? I wish I had the exact wording that I could give you. But I think it's okay to be direct and just say, I don't think that this would be a good fit, but I really appreciate you asking and I wish you the best. I don't think you have to totally skirt around the issue to try to be really super sweet and not offend them. But I think you can be direct in a very nice way. Oh, okay. Has anyone else had an experience where they've come up with some wording for how to respond to these things? Oh, to borrow things. So for props, Tracy, are people wanting to do it like for photo shoots? They want to borrow your stuff. I've also heard of them doing that with other products, like even handmade products that photographers want to use as props. And, they do the exposure you're going to get. Okay. Exposure to whom? Exposure to people who actually want to purchase my products? Probably not. So you are sending away stuff that you are really hoping you get back. You're going to be without it for a while and you're getting nothing in return. Specify. And yeah, that's good, Molly, because then it reflects on you. If stuff is all wrinkled and then it's in this photo shoot or this movie and then people see it tied to your business name, that's not good. You sell it to them and give a refund when you get it back. That would be a good practice for vintage stuff. Yeah, that's great to develop those policies, Molly. Very smart of you. Yeah, the whole exposure thing is like a topic for a different scope, really. So I won't get into that too much. You exchange products for good model pics. Yeah, there can be some great collaboration in exchanging products or services. I just recommended that to someone the other day. They were saying, I'm terrible with photography and it looks like it's really important for Etsy. And I'm like, yeah, it is super important. So you either just figure out how to do it, read some tutorials, watch some tutorials, and get better at your photography. Or you go, okay, I know someone who's really good with photography. Maybe we can exchange some products or some services, or at least reduce what I would need to pay by doing a little bit of an exchange. So there's some creative ways to do that on a budget if you can't afford to hire someone outright. Any other questions or experiences that you've had with the whole collaboration thing with other vloggers? So don't feel guilty saying no. You're probably going to have to say no a lot more than say yes. That's a really good point, Danielle. She said that she is more likely to work with a blog if they have big, gorgeous photos than if they have a huge following. And that's one thing too. I mean, every blogger is starting out somewhere, right? So there may be some bloggers that are just starting out and they're small and they're going to end up being really big bloggers someday. And you can see by their level of professionalism, if they have these incredible photos in their blog posts, people are going to be attracted to that. And so they might build up a following pretty quickly. $50 to add swag to a bag or do a giveaway. Yeah. Another thing I've seen with subscription boxes, I was talking to Amy Gabriel about this once, about how some subscription boxes don't even pay. Good. That's another good point, Danielle. If you have access to those photos, then you can share them. Some subscription boxes don't pay for what you donate. It is donate for what you give to their boxes, and they call that exposure as well because you can put a business card in there or whatever. I think subscription boxes should be probably paying at least wholesale. Now, there might be some that are for certain causes that you might really believe in where you are willing to contribute for less than wholesale, and I think that's great too. There are like International Blessings that Sarah Barnett does. I'm not sure what her structure is as far as pay goes, but that's your call. If you are wanting to do that for less than wholesale because you really believe in what they're doing, absolutely. But in general, if some subscription box just contacts you and they want you to basically donate something or barely give you any kind of compensation, I would really think twice about that because unless, once again, they are sending it to what you know is your target market, you could just be giving away a whole bunch of product and seeing nothing in return. So just don't be too eager to collaborate without really thinking through long term. And also, you know, if you're going to leave yourself margin to do a few of those collaborations a year, you want to make sure they're quality ones. So don't jump on any too quickly. I have had, I would say, 2/3 to 3/4 of mine have been worth it. And then I've had that small number where it was like, wow, there was one in particular where it was actually like a frugal living blog with a lot of followers. Like we're talking at least 250,000 Facebook followers. And I had to give like $200 worth of product that their entire team got to pick out exactly what they wanted, which products, in which fabrics. I had to make them. The communication was so horrible. I did not hear from them finally with what they wanted until like 3 days before I was supposed to mail it. So I gave away $200 worth of product, and in total crunch time, stressful. And I think I got about that much back in sales. So I barely broke even for something that was super stressful. That was early on before, you know, I really developed a way to kind of look through and make sure I was really vetting these requests. So it was a lesson learned, and you're going to have those, and that's okay. That's all part of growing as a business. But I went into that with the assumption that it would be a really great giveaway because they had so many followers. And actually, you know what? It wasn't even a giveaway. That's right. They didn't want to do a giveaway. They were just talking about different shops, and you could have them kind of review your shop right before Christmas shopping. But in order to do that, I had to give the $200 worth of product. So I think if there had been a giveaway attached, it could have gone a little bit better. All right. If there are no other questions, I wanted to tell you that I did get that video tutorial up for setting up a landing page for collecting email addresses, even if you don't have a website outside of Etsy, so that you can send people there. If you want to have an opt-in freebie, you can set it all up through that, have it all contained, have the whole process go through. Wow, I'm freezing badly. Sorry about that. Have the whole process from beginning to end of someone subscribing to your list, getting your opt-in without ever having to have a blog or a website if you're not there yet or you don't plan to be there. So you can watch that video and see how to do it. I don't talk a lot about email list stuff in general. I just walk you through how to actually get that all set up so that you can start collecting email addresses. Because if you're going to give away a freebie, you want that email address in return. Don't just give it away just to give it away. Okay? That is a really good question. You know what I actually do for giveaways? For 2 reasons. I want my links to be the way that I want them, and I think it makes it a little bit easier for them. I actually kind of create a blog post and just say, hey, I wrote this up. Obviously, feel free to tweak it however you want. Because I want to make sure I get my links right. So in a way, I do kind of preview what the blog post is going to look like ahead of time, because most of the time those bloggers, I think, are so appreciative that I've taken the time to do that they don't do a lot of changes. But when the other person is definitely going to write it, I say, please use these links here in this format, because if I want to track them in Google Analytics, I want to format them a certain way. So I think that's totally reasonable to request. If a blogger is going to do a giveaway or a review, reasonable to request, hey, could you send me a preview of it before it goes live? Would you mind doing that? And you could just even say, I'd be willing to check the links and make sure everything's working before you make it go live. You know, come across in a helpful way. Okay, so at MakerySpace.com, you will find that new blog post with the tutorial video, and there's a couple of related links underneath. And then if you ever want to see show notes for anything that I talk about, you can go to MakerySpace.com/scope. And on that page is also a form that you can fill out if you would like to request a topic or a question for me to answer on Periscope. Alrighty, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I have a beautiful blue sky after yesterday's snow, so I know I'm going to enjoy it. I will talk to you tomorrow morning.